Good afternoon, everybody. This is Eric with American Business Systems, and welcome you here this afternoon as we get started right up at the top of the hour with our live webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about why some people fail in starting their own business. These principles that we're going to talk about today are literally principles that you can use in any business as you kind of start looking at other businesses or whatever you might be doing. But however, Patrick and I today, we'll stream it down very specifically here to medical billing. But again, we want to welcome you here today and hope that you really get a lot out of today's presentation. And be sure to ask questions, take notes, and be able to take care of that with the ABS rep that you've been working with. Again, my name's Eric Auger. I'm the Director of Research and Development here at American Business Systems. And again, want to welcome you here this afternoon. And thank you for certainly joining us. I want to introduce you to Patrick Phillips. Patrick is our CEO and founder of American Business Systems. He has written several books. One is How to Reprogram Yourself for Success, in which we're actually going to show a few of those pages there today in the webinar today, so that you can kind of get a feel for where he kind of started off on this whole deal about why people fail. It's just reprogramming yourself for success, and we're going to talk about that. However, the book on the right is the Cash Crunch to Cash Flow book, which is a marketing book that our licensees use. You can find either one of these books out on Amazon.com and get yourself a copy. But without further ado, Patrick, let's get this thing kicked off here. We got lots of information to deal with today. So thanks, Patrick, for joining us.
Yes, thank you, Eric. Hey, those of you who've not been on these webinars before, we try to make these entertaining and give you as much information as we can on the topic. Today, if we're not giving you enough information, that's what the question box is for. Like Eric said earlier, just type your comments or questions into the question box now, and we monitor that throughout the webinar. Eric, I wanted to show that very first slide that you found a great survey that was done on how recent healthcare spending is rising. I guess that's good for an industry. You want to be in a business where the rising, it's rising. It's not going downhill, and certainly healthcare is always growing.
Well, we just pulled this one that you can see up at the right, I guess up in the left-hand corner, right under where it says healthcare finance. This was from January the 27th, so just last week we're talking about this. This article just came out. What we want to point out to you, though, here is what's being underlined right there. I mean, Patrick, we're talking over $614 billion spent in physician and clinical services alone.
That's 20%, it says, of the total health spending, and healthcare is what, like 1/5 of the whole economy in the United States. So that is a huge amount of money. And of course, I tell people, look, if you're looking at a pie chart, not this one, but if you were looking at a pie chart and you wanted just a little bitty tiny slice is all you would need of that pie, right, to make a pretty good impact.
You know, one thing before we go to the next slide here, a lot of people, Patrick, ask us about, can we do dental billing? And if you'll see down there that little bitty 4% where it says dental services, folks, that kind of gives you an indication why we focus on the medical side and not on the dental side. There's just little bit of money there. And then you can see how it kind of rolls through there. But folks, we're right in the smack dab of the greatest business I think we could all be a part of.
Absolutely. And hey, we showed this, I think this next article you're about to show, Eric, last week, but it's a great article, and it was just recently published in January the 20th, I think is the date on that one, from Healthcare Finance News. Folks, you are listening to a webinar today about getting involved in the healthcare industry, specifically in the revenue cycle. So this is talking about revenue cycle outsourcing growing, as you can see there, 15% over the next 5 years. Guys, any business that you're getting into that's growing that fast within the next 5 years, that's a nice window of opportunity there to get involved in something that's really, really going fast.
This has to do with outsourcing, and I think what we ought to take just a brief time here, Patrick. We know that doctors do billing, and they're either going to do it in one or two categories. They're going to do it in their office, which is called in-house, or they're going to outsource it. So this particular article under healthcare finance, it's saying in the next 5 years that doctors are going to 15% growth, start outsourcing their billing.
To third-party vendors. And that's what
Yes.
you would be. You would be that third-party vendor that we train from scratch. You have to know nothing about the healthcare market, nothing about medical billing or coding. We take you from scratch, teach you everything you need to know, and you can become that third-party vendor that it says more and more health service providers will be continue to outsource. So that's a
That's
great news for people looking to get into this business. Look, like Eric said, the doctors are either doing it themselves with their own staff, using their own software that's on their own computers in their office, or they've learned that it's better to outsource that. Eric, they outsource a lot of stuff, don't they?
all sorts of things. I mean, we certainly know a doctor doesn't do their own accounting or their own payroll, for goodness sakes. I mean, they don't go home and let's write Susie a check today. They outsource that. So the growth in this whole outsourcing of medical billing is a continual growth, and it's hard to grasp, Patrick. I mean, you've been in business a long time, but if we start to see any growth, especially 15% growth, that's a big chunk. If you know anything about business growth and trends.
Yeah, it's a huge surge, it says. In fact, that's the word they use right there, outsourcing to surge in the next 5 years. So it's a great business to be in, but folks, the important thing to remember is that doctors are wanting to get it out of their office. Some of them have just not reached that point where they're educated to the point where they need to, their core competency is seeing patients, helping patients get well. That's what they need to concentrate their time on and their staff's time. But instead,
Right.
they think they need to do the billing because, to be honest with you, there's nobody that they know that they can trust. We're going to show you how to build that trust in your community so they believe that you're the company that they should outsource to.
Exactly. I couldn't have put it better, and I love that you said that. I like to kind of address it this way. People ask, "Is this can I do this business?" And certainly we're going to talk about why people fail here in just a moment. But Patrick, I think if you just talk real quickly about this business as a relationship business, I mean, nobody's going to hand over their paycheck or their checking account to somebody they don't trust.
Yeah, that's right. It is a trust type business. In other words, the doctor has to believe that you are the person that they can trust with the most important thing to them, which is their cash flow, right? Their revenue cycle, the money that comes in from insurance companies, from Medicare, Medicaid, from patients. You can handle all that because we're going to teach you how to do that and become the expert. People love to do business with experts, right, Eric? We're going to teach you
Absolutely.
guys how to, and our licensees are the experts in their community.
And that is correct. All right, so let's jump right in here. Now I know we kind of put our title up there, why some people fail uh, in business in general, and I think the three categories that we're certainly going to talk about today certainly go across the board. But I know more specifically, people are on here today because they are looking at us to join us because they're looking to get into medical billing. So I think this is a great thing for us to be able to discuss and talk about why people fail actually maybe in this business.
Yeah, specifically in this business. And folks, we try to be as upfront about this as we can. We know that this business is not for everybody on this webinar. We know that you're looking at a dozen other businesses probably that you're thinking about starting. So what we try to do is educate you, just like we teach you to educate the doctors, as much as possible about the pros and the cons of this business so that you know if it's right for you. And if it is, you can be very successful in it, as you'll see from some of the testimonials that we have on our website from existing licensees.
Yeah, and Patrick, this is probably one of the biggest questions. I know that we get several different questions, but I think if we pulled all of our questions together, I think this is probably one of the biggest questions get asked is, so why do some people fail at this business? I think the way that they place it, and I'm gonna throw this question out to you, Patrick. What is your failure rate?
Well, it's 100%. Yeah, that's my answer. It's 100% if you don't follow the rules of business, which we're going to cover today. There's three main reasons why people fail, not just in this business, but in any business that you get into. Folks, if you're looking to get into starting your own sandwich shop or cleaning windows or repairing windshields, whatever it is, if you don't follow these three rules, you will follow. So fail. Let's start with number one there, Eric. Many people, when they get into business, They may buy a turnkey business package like ours or a franchise, which has everything already laid out for you, but they try to reinvent the wheel. I've seen that many, many times, and they think they're smarter than we are. And we've been doing this for 20 years.
Yeah, and I think, Patrick, I think a lot of people have this somewhat of a fear factor about, "Oh, I don't know how to market." I think we work with people who have marketed before. We work with them much more because they are the ones that try to reinvent the process of marketing out there to doctors. And I think that's what we find out to be one of the biggest reinventing of the wheel. They think, I'm going to do the marketing the way I've always done it."
Yeah, in fact, our next webinar next week is specifically on that topic about, hey, I'm not a salesman, but I'm starting my own business. Help. What do I do? So we'll zero in on that specifically next week on our webinar. But folks, he's right. Trying to reinvent the wheel and maybe put square wheels on a round bicycle, it won't work. The bicycle just won't go where you want it to go. So you got to follow the rules, and you got to not try to change the things that a business package like ours has in it, because it's been tested and proven over 20 years.
Yeah, and the second one, I know we kind of maybe redid some of these titles here, but we talked about no product difference. Why don't you talk about what we were talking about there, Patrick? What does that
Well,
mean?
in the marketplace, you have to be different from all your competitors. You have to have something that makes you stand out, or you fade in with the crowd. You get lost in all the competition that's out there. Because folks, there are other medical billing companies out there, of course, marketing to doctors. What is it that's going to make you, as an ABS licensee, stand out so that they take notice? And when it comes time for them to think about outsourcing, they think about you and not your competition. So
Exactly.
what differentiates you in the marketplace is what that's all
Yeah,
about.
that's a great way to put it. And then lastly, we're going to talk about I think one that you have a real heart for, and that's getting people to become self-disciplined and personal discipline.
Yeah, I mean, in any business, you have to actually get up out of bed in the mornings. You have to actually go somewhere, even if it's in your own home, as your office, and you have to think of it as a business. I'm going to put in the same amount of time and effort in my own business that I would working for somebody else for 40 or 50 hours a week. And if you do that, folks, there's no way that you can fail in any business as long as it's a viable business and there's a real need for it in the marketplace, which there obviously is for medical billing.
All right, so let's do this first one here. Many try to reinvent the wheel. I think you kind of demonstrated this by saying it's trying to put square wheels on a bicycle, and it's just not going to work. So, folks,
And
the
yet there
last
will
thing,
be
huh?
Yeah, and yet there's going to be people who again think even after they've gone through our training, what they'll do is they'll
Right,
get back home and they'll think, oh, you know what? I know they told me to do this, this, and this, but I think this is the best way to do it. And then when they try it and they call us up and say, hey, I was doing this and this and this and it didn't work, we'll ask them, well, where did you get that idea? It wasn't
right.
an idea. And then they go, oh, I just thought it was a good idea. And I thought I'd read it in a book somewhere and somebody else used it in another business. But folks, this is a very specific business that you have to do exactly what we've learned works. We also know what doesn't
Right.
work, don't we, Eric? We spend a lot of money testing that out.
That's correct. And folks, we have a complete system. And when we say a complete system, we're not just talking about, we've got several different services, as you see here. But Patrick, I mean, you are very in tune with what's being taught in the training class and the marketing techniques that are used. So when we're talking about a complete system, we're really talking about everything here. I think we're gonna kind of go through some of those here in just a moment. But
Yeah, and this little illustration, of course, is from our website. And if you haven't been there, absystems.com, you will find out, folks, that we came up with a number of different things so that it is a turnkey system. It's not all about just billing insurance companies. That's a vital part of what you'll be doing. But look at all the other aspects of the business that have to do with other ways of managing the revenue cycle. Remember, it's all about all the money that the doctor needs to collect in all kinds of different ways and where he needs to cut corners and save money as well and plug the leaks in his cash flow. We have all the
yeah.
solutions and you can read about all those on our website there.
And this is what we're talking about, the complete system. We wanted to show you all the different services, but Patrick, just kind of go through what we're about to cover right now from top to bottom.
Yeah, all of the things you see here, folks, is essential for success in any business. If you have a business opportunity or a franchise, for example, that doesn't give you any support after you've gone through their live training, for example, after support is very important. You need somebody you can pick up the phone and call and talk to. If they don't have the training, if they don't have the demos that will automatically help close your sales for you, if you have the wrong tools, for example, they haven't provided you the tools, you will fail. All of these are essential parts of a successful business, and we're going to cover each one of them here and kind of show you in detail what we mean by each one of these.
Yeah, so we're going to first start off with marketing. I mean, that's where everything begins. I mean, certainly we can't start doing billing unless we have a client. And part of before we can even have a client, we got to get that client. And so, step us through, Patrick, about some of the marketing techniques. Although that we're demonstrating here on the screen some of the marketing material, this is just material. This is not the full-blown marketing campaign.
Well, for example, in the training class, I think I showed this last week, but here's the training manual that we cover in the marketing section. There's about 10 different ways. 10 of these tabs have to do with marketing. So, folks, building a business is not all about the technical aspects. Sure, we bring in laptops and you learn how to do the medical billing there in the class, but it's about the marketing part. So, you're right, Eric. It's not all about the marketing materials, but we did spend over $100,000 developing the marketing materials for our licensees because I've seen some pretty bad examples of marketing materials. I won't go into detail, but there's some people who've sent me some examples of stuff they came up with on their own and printed on their own inkjet printer, and it looks like a car wash flyer. It's not something that you'd want to give to a doctor. This, folks, is all professionally designed and tested that it actually works in the marketplace and looks like you are much larger than just somebody working out of their spare bedroom.
And these look good as they are. However, on each one of these, over on the right-hand side, these big, nice 8.5 by 11 flyers, there's actually a spot there, Patrick, that we both know that the brand new licensee, the brand new medical billing company, you can put your own logo, your name, your contact from our printing company. They'll actually print that on there for you. So that's part of what you get for your investment fee with us. That's all included.
Yeah, and what looks like postcards there on your screen, well, there are some postcards that look like that, but there's also greeting cards. Those open up, and on the inside, you can personalize those with exactly the text, your logo, the name and contact information for your company. Those are personalized, and it's an online system that allows you to design those cards, push a button, and those literally get mailed directly to the doctor's office. So, folks, again, we've spent a lot of money and time developing marketing tools that actually work out there in the real world.
Exactly. All right, so let's move on to support. Now, Patrick, once someone goes through training, I know that you used to, or we used to, a few years back, only give, we went from 1 year to 2 year support. Now we get a lifetime of support. Why don't you explain a little bit about that as well?
Well, it's the way we've modeled our company basically is this. Most companies, you buy their business opportunity package and it's like, goodbye, see ya, good luck, hope you're successful. We have tied ourselves to each one of our licensees in a financial way. There are fees that your doctor is going to be paying to access our system, for example, or to utilize one of the marketing materials, the auto card, for example, that brings in patients for them, or the quick collect service that collects money from their patients. That's all automated, but there are fees involved in that the doctor pays. Well, we as a company, of course, are making money on each one of those services. So the good news for you is that we want you to sign up more clients on all of our services because we're going to make a few pennies on each one of the transactions that come through that system. So it's the American way, right? You make money, we make money, and we're all happy.
And that's why we offer a lifetime of support. I mean, folks, there is no other business out there that can give you a lifetime of support. And it's because we are basically we are your frontline support. So either whether it's coming by email, telephone, or we have a live chat on our licensee support side, you're always able to get us. Plus, there's a second tier level of support for those that are licensees that actually have doctors that runs from 7 a.m. Eastern to 7 p.m. Pacific time. So we have different layers of support that you'll have depending upon what your specific need is.
Yeah.
And then
Hey, we
Oh,
got a
go
couple
ahead.
in here. I'm just looking at the questions. Some of them are coming in now. All of a sudden, for some reason, we've raised up all kinds of questions here. One of them's from Lee. He says, I would like to be able to use my own domain name for my website. And of course, you can. Now, we do have templated websites already designed with all the correct wording, graphics, all of that's already designed. That's a part of our package, a part of your licensing fee. We give that to you, and then you host that wherever you want to, and use your own domain name. So it could be, mymedicalbillingcompany.com or whatever you come up with. Yeah.
Exactly. Shirley says this is very good lifetime support. And then Alvin asked the question, Patrick, do you guys provide leads or do I need to find my own? Great question. Since we are a business opportunity, Alvin, we can't provide leads. Patrick, you want to explain that a little bit more for us?
Yeah, there are certain rules and regulations that the governments came up with for an opportunity versus a franchise. Franchise companies, of course, can advertise for you or shared advertising with you and bring in leads and that type of thing. Now, we do almost all of that, except that we don't actually literally give you the leads. We show you where to find the leads. And there are ways to do that. We teach in our training class that go into detail about specific ways to gather your database and build your lead, database, and then follow up on that to get your clients. So yeah, we have all that in the teaching training classroom.
Yeah, and what you'll find out, Alvin, is that we I think we go beyond just giving you leads or providing you leads. As you'll notice here in the webinar a little bit later, we actually do all of your demonstrations of the system. So that is an area, even though there are a lot of people who provide you leads, and then you're out there by yourself. This provides you an opportunity for us to help you build that clientele for you, and then plus you take all the revenue. You don't share that revenue with us. If we gave you leads, you would have to share that revenue back with us. That's the reason why we've got the business model set up the way that we do. Patrick, let's talk real quickly about contracts. I mean, we've
Well,
got
a very
this is
important
about
part
the
of any business, of course, are the contracts. You have to have everything worked out. Well, we've already passed this all through attorneys and had all the contracts developed for you. Now, that doesn't mean that you couldn't pass that by your attorney just to make sure that it says the right thing, but it's already templated for you. So all you do is pull it up, change your name, put your name and the doctor's name in there, and your pricing, of course, and make it personally yours. So there's dozens of contracts and agreements between you, the doctor, the technology partners that we have for you, all of the sales reps that you might hire. Those are all already pre-worked out, and they're in Word format. You just download them and change them any way you want to.
yeah. Now we've talked a little bit about the training, Patrick, and I mean this really comes to the heart of everything. You are before everything else. You were a former trainer. You've always been in training. You know the importance of training. Talk to us about who does the training and why.
Well, first of all, we don't just have our staff. We do train. Eric and I, of course, are trainers, but we also have licensees that we bring in who are actually running their own business in their own city. We fly them in here and for the week, put them up at the hotel where you'll be staying, and they are there to train you and answer all your questions. Remember, they're out in the field every day dealing with the insurance companies, dealing with Medicare, dealing with other doctors, and they know exactly the things that you're going to come across. So it's great, personalization of the training.
A couple of questions I'm going to get to real quickly before we get out of this section here. Shirley's asking the question, after we find the lead, do you help us get the doctor?
Well, yes. In fact, Eric mentioned that just earlier about the fact that we do demos. We're going to show you an illustration of that here in just a moment. But basically, our technology is so leading edge that we want the doctor to see what you're going to be using to solve his revenue problems. And we do those demos. ABS and our staff does the demos so that you don't have to even worry about that. With the doctor on the phone, on the go-to meeting like we're doing today, the doctor's asking questions and we're answering all those questions for you. So yes, Eric, what are we closing almost half of those at this point, right?
Half of all the demos that we do, we close over half of those demos.
Yeah.
And then Michelle asked, how do we differentiate ourselves from other licensees in the field?
And that's probably something we've got here in the slides at some point, Eric, or am I just jumping ahead here?
Yeah, I think we'll get to that there. So Michelle, hang on to your question. We'll get to that.
Well, yeah, here's
Patrick,
one of them right here, demos.
yeah, this is how we differentiate not only in the field but from each other for licensees. I mean, each one of these is done independently. We don't, not like today. We're doing a big webinar where there's a lot of us here today. Each one of these demos is very specific to your doctor. So we're not throwing a wide net. We're going straight to your doctor. You can see
One
that.
on one. Yeah, just one on one. It's you. It's our staff member behind the scenes doing the demo. And of course, you can be on there on your computer watching it and listening to everything that's said as well.
All right, and the tools. Let's talk about a few of the tools here, Patrick.
Well, this is another thing that distinguishes you from other competitors out in the marketplace. We have developed tools that you can use. For example, the ones you see here are our booths, our tabletop displays that are used at trade shows and expos. Folks, we've spent thousands of dollars developing these tools for you, and they're for our licensees to use. And you can basically develop your own, of course, if you want to, but why reinvent the wheel? Again, we've already developed all those tools for you. Our licensee support site that you see an illustration of there, a screenshot, this is updated on a regular basis. Every day or so, we're putting new things out there for our licensees with links to videos and updated articles all about the healthcare field. Folks, we do everything we can to give you the tools to make sure you succeed in this business.
And then I know we talked earlier about proposal, I mean contracts, but now we're going to get to the proposal. And I think, some of the questions that was, from actually Shirley, after you find the lead, do we help you get the doctors? As yes, we do all of this. And we even have videos on showing you exactly how to walk through a proposal.
Yeah, folks, there are a number of components that are involved in actually getting a client. Well, one of them, a very important component, is what you see here, a proposal back to the doctor. After you've done what we call a practice analysis, getting information from the office manager, you plug that into our proposal, take it back to the doctor, and it educates them on how much money you're going to save them over doing the billing in-house, or maybe even outsourcing it to another billing company. So this is a very important thing that distinguishes you from the competition out there, because they do not have the professional proposals, the review board like we have here. You can pass that through our support department, and we will review that proposal and show you where you've maybe made a few errors or things that need corrected to make sure you don't leave money on the table.
And then coaching. I mean, this is all a part. Now, remember, we started this section here about don't go reinvent the wheel. So everything that we're showing you here is we've got everything that you need as a complete system.
Right, including the coaching. Now, this is a very important part of any business, folks, because once you've gone through the training, even of a franchise, at some point you're going to need to talk to people who are in the business themselves, like the other licensees you see pictured here, or people from our staff, including myself, that will get on the phone, get on a Skype, get on GoToMeeting, whatever it takes to connect with you and hold your hand and answer your questions. We have, in fact, as you can see, the first three people there, Thomas Patterson, Jeanette Weiler, and Sally Conbest. Sally is a doctor. She's our single medical advisor. She can help with all kinds of subjects that you might not have a clue about. Jeanette Weiler is a certified professional coder, and Terrence Patterson is a marketing consultant. He's already built a huge business for him and his partner, and he is willing to share his knowledge with you as another ABS licensee. So we've got all the coaching that you need, and that is a very important part of being successful in any business.
So as you can see here, folks, we've got a complete system. There's no sense of going out there and trying to necessarily start this business all on your own. We have all the different components, the marketings, the demos, support, the tools, contracts and proposals, training and coaching. Patrick, this is a complete package here when we're talking about this.
Well, that's why we tell people we have a one-time, lifetime licensing fee. It includes everything. We're not going to nickel and dime you on anything. You never pay another dime ever to ABS. Somebody has a question up here, in fact, about that. Are there ongoing fees for lifetime support? Helene says. No, there are no fees for that type of thing. That's all a part of our turnkey package.
Exactly. All right, let's move to number two. We took up almost 20 minutes just on the first one there, so we had a lot there just to get in that area. But what about this no product difference? I mean, we can kind of see here through the image that we're actually going in a different direction than most medical billing companies.
Yeah, if there's not something that differentiates you in the marketplace today, in today's world, you get lost out there. And so we've done everything we can to differentiate you from the other medical billing companies out there and from the doctor's own internal staff who might be doing the billing for them as well. Uh, so, for example, on the next slide here, as you can see, here's a little nerd here in the corner. He's thinking server-based software because most of the medical billing software that's out there, well, probably not most nowadays, there are a lot still of server-based. They come on a CD, literally. They are installed onto the hard disk inside the computer in the doctor's office or in your office. And folks, that's very dangerous in today's world because of all the HIPAA rules for patient privacy. Those computers can crash, they can get infected with viruses, they can be stolen overnight, and you've lost all that patient data. Our system, of course, is in the cloud. So it's out there in the cloud on our servers and backed up nightly off-site, of course, very HIPAA compliant. And so you don't ever have to worry about those kinds of things. That's one thing
Yeah,
that differentiates you from the marketplace is our cloud-based leading edge system. And of course, all the things we've already talked about there as well.
we have one or two competitors, and the only one I can think of is one that sells a server-based software, but doesn't even come close to all the things that we just populated here on the right-hand side. They just don't have that. So
Right.
we are separating ourselves from the other. Ours is clean. I mean, Patrick, this is a great view looking at iClaim from an iPad.
Yeah, in fact, folks, ours was actually optimized for the iPad before the iPad even came out several years ago. We had already designed the software for the iPhone, and as soon as the iPad came out, we just changed the size of the screen. And it's already, the doctors absolutely love this because this little device can be carried in their coat pocket. They pull it out, they're looking right at the patient as they're tapping the screen and doing everything they need to do to investigate what's wrong with the patient. So it's a very clean system. As long as they have internet connection in their office, they're good to go.
Yeah, and so what separates us from the rest of the pack? You know, we're going to be kind of there's a couple of things here. We're actually kind of talk a little bit of technical stuff here, information about medical billing. However, these four categories is really what makes us different because with all other systems that are out there, most of these systems have to be pieced in with a third-party platform. So, Patrick, you want to kind of help me explain that a little bit better?
Well, you're right, Eric. Most software that's out there, even some of the cloud-based software, is really written by several different companies, and they're just plugged in together behind the scenes to act like they're integrated. Our system truly is integrated from the billing, the iClaim billing system, the electronic medical record system, EMRX, the clearinghouse itself, and the patient portal is all integrated. I mean, it is a part of our system written by the very same programmers sitting in the very same building. So this is very unique, guys, because you don't have to worry about any of this not working or some company blaming the other company because it doesn't work behind the scenes. Ours just
Yeah,
works because we make sure that it works every day.
yeah. So we've got iClaim, which is our practice management system. That's the billing system, so to say. The other top right-hand corner is the electronic medical records. That's the EMRX. To the lower left-hand corner is a clearinghouse, which you have to have for your billing software. That is actually integrated. This is, like Patrick said, the same engineers that work on these other two actually are maintaining the clearinghouse. And then fourth, the one there at the right-hand bottom is a patient portal. So these are not separate systems that we brought in together and kind of married them all together. Same people work on all four of these sections here. So let's first take a look at the iClaim platform. This is the billing platform, Patrick.
Yeah, so what you're seeing here, of course, is the main menu when you log in. Now remember, ours is not software that resides on your computer, so you don't start at the software. You go to your browser to a link that we give you to our system and log in with your ID and password. that takes you right into the system. And as you can see right here on the screen, it's very clean, it's very user friendly. There are links and menus to everything you need right on this main screen, including messages from us about changes in the system and that type of thing. So it's all very, and again, as long as you have a computer that's connected to the internet, it doesn't matter if it's a Macintosh computer, Apple, IBM, PCs, it doesn't matter. As long as you have an internet connection, you can use our system.
And then this is the electronic medical records. And the reason we put this up here, a lot of people that know a little bit about the coding portion of it, we all know that there's a big change coming here in October of this year, and that's what we see here. I've kind of got it circling right here with my mouse, the ICD-10 codes. And those are just the next version of what we call the problem codes, or what's wrong with you, like a fracture or something. It's going to be a new version of these codes. And we already have that built in our package there, Patrick.
Yeah, they're already in there, even though they were supposed to be, instigated last October. The government put that off for another year. So now this coming up, well, we're already there. In fact, you can see in that illustration right there that you can look at the ICD-9 codes. Then you can click on the ICD-10 code button and see the suggested codes for ICD-10. These are the diagnostic codes, what's wrong with the patient. And folks, there's going to be, 10 times as many codes when these new ICD-10 codes roll out in October. The doctors are scared about that. Our licensees don't have to be worried about it because they're right here in the system, and the doctor can see them himself.
Absolutely. The other component that we mentioned earlier is the clearinghouse. Now, Patrick, we don't want to get people lost in all this, but just in brief, let's kind of just explain what a clearinghouse is. And I've got some information here on the screen. So the first one, we can see here, our clearinghouse acts as a direct portal to the insurance companies.
Right. Clearinghouses are a very important part of billing because all the different insurers out there take the data in a different way. And the clearinghouse catches those errors first and prompts you to make corrections before you submit them to the payers. So everybody using any kind of medical billing software is using the clearinghouse somewhere. Our unique difference is that we have a lower rejection rate and expedited reimbursements to the doctor because our clearinghouse is an integral part of our system, not a third party company, but it's us that's actually doing the clearinghouse function of the claim data.
Yeah, so it is a huge part. If I think, Patrick, this is whenever, because we do demos for people who are actually looking to get into this business, and I explain this portion of it. This is probably the biggest differentiator on our platform than any other medical billing platform out there. It's literally like our billing platform gets that direct connection to the insurance companies. It doesn't have to leave our system through some third-party clearinghouse, then finally back through to the insurances. We're going directly. That's a huge differentiator.
Yeah, most software companies submit the data to the clearinghouse. 24 hours later or 48 hours later, the data comes back into the system and tells you whether or not there's things that are wrong with it. Ours knows that before it's ever submitted to the insurer.
Exactly. And then what we just got launched last year is, like I like to talk about all this, is this is the fourth leg on a stool. This really makes it stable, and that's the patient portal. I mean, I can't think of seen another better patient portal than I've seen than this one.
Yeah, this allows the patient to go in and see everything that the doctor has put into the EMRX system while he's seeing the patient. That all goes into this patient portal, so the patient has access to their records. You know how sometimes you have to ask the records from your doctor, I want to get copies of everything. It's already here. Just log in from any internet-connected computer, and you can see all of your data, including all the lab reports, all of the prescriptions that are there that have been prescribed for you. It's all online, ready for you to access anytime, anywhere.
And one of the great things, something was added this last year, is that you can literally check in through a patient portal before you ever get to the doctor, fill out all of their paperwork, and then all that will be automatically inputted into all of the records there on both the sides for the front office and then actually for the doctor. So let me kind of demonstrate this for you. See, what you can be able to do as a patient, you can log in to your health file, put in all the information, why you're coming in today, all your meds, all that information. Once you click go, it's going to go directly into the doctor's electronic medical record system. So all of that information flows from your house to the doctor, which is going to mean you're going to have a much better expedited visit at the doctor's office. We all know nobody likes to spend time at the doctor's office. But then once the doctor is finished seeing you, it's going to go directly into you as the medical billing company. You're going to be able to take this. And Patrick, I think what we need to express here, this is all done within seconds of each other, not days. Most of the time, what we see is a patient fills out all this paperwork, the doctor gets it, the doctor fills out all his paperwork or her paperwork, and then gets it to somebody to do the billing, which could be another 2 or 3 days down the road. Everything is happening in real time. And then once it completes all of this, this has actually been sent out to the insurance companies for payment. So instead of the doctor being paid within 30 to 40 days, now we've reduced it down to 7 to 10 days. Hopefully this gives a good completed picture of the differentiator of what makes you as a medical billing company and why a doctor would even want to listen to you in the first place.
Yeah, so back to Michelle's question, how do we differentiate ourselves? Here's a perfect example of that. Having the patient portal, the clearinghouse, all tied in together like this, Michelle, that makes for fewer rejections and more money for the doctor.
Yes, exactly. This is the way to be able to do that. All right, now we've talked about don't reinvent the wheel. We've talked about what makes you different. Patrick, this is your platform. About talking about lack of personal discipline with individuals. Let's talk about, because you've written a book about this.
Yeah, I'm over here choking on the back end. I had to mute a while ago because I had a cough going on. Well, you're right. It starts with you, folks. And I said earlier, we can't call you up in the morning and make sure you got out of bed, right? We can't ask you exactly what you did during the day to make sure your business is successful. So when we say that some people fail in business because of a lack of personal discipline, we mean all kinds of things that people are lacking in. For example, what's going on inside your head? I wrote a book about it, but here's an illustration of negative self-talk. Sometimes that's an illustration of a lady, and on the right-hand side, that's herself inside of her own head, that little voice that you hear inside there, talking to yourself. Who is that person? Who is that voice? Well, it's you, yourself. It's the negative side of you. And that may be all some people have up there, Eric, is the negative side, but it's always going on inside your head. So I wrote a book called How to Reprogram Yourself for Success. And I said in the book there, as you can see right here in this quote, that when you first hear about, something like you become what you think about, I heard that when I was younger, you think, well, what a joke. How could thoughts, which are electrical and chemical impulses in your brain, actually make you into what you become as a person? It just didn't make any sense to me at first, and it sounded like a bunch of new age mumbo jumbo. In fact, Eric, I knew it couldn't be true that you become what you think about, because if it had been, I would have been a woman a long time ago. Since you put the quote up there, I thought I'd go ahead and read it. You have to think about that for a minute. But if you become what you think about, I would have become a woman. So why are there entrepreneurs out there in every business? Again, not just our business, but anybody who starts their own business, folks, looks like this, at least on the inside. They're scared because they don't know what to expect. They're thinking, what if I never get a client? What if I never get this business off the ground? What are my chances of failure? And that's what we're talking about today, right? So we have decided that most people sabotage themselves. And I have another whole chapter in my book about that. We sabotage ourselves by saying those wrong things that are going on inside our head. Now, I don't want to get too deep into my book here, but it sounds familiar. Like some of you have a few scripts to add of your own, probably, besides what we showed you a while ago, that makes you poverty-minded, I call it. So you've got to get past that. My book and some of the training that I give to our licensees specifically about this helps them get over that and get past that negative self-talk that's going on inside their head.
Yeah, and then here, I think if we could tap into the minds from a few, we've got questions that every beginning ABS licensee always asks. And a lot of questions like this, Patrick, we get from people who are looking to get into this business. First of all, why would a doctor use me? These are these questions that keep populating in people's mind. Don't they already have a biller? Uh, don't they already have an EMR system? Or what if I don't get a doctor? What do I do? I mean, those are real questions that can plague you and actually stop your growth in what if you're doing this or whatever type of business.
Yeah, I mean, those are the types of things that I was talking about earlier, those little voices inside your head that are asking these questions. Well, folks, believe it or not, we have answers to every one of these things. Now, again, there's not a question you could come up with that we couldn't address because we've been doing this for 20 years. And the only way we know to prove that to you is to let you actually speak to some of our licensees, like Renee Hermes here. We call them our bold entrepreneurs because we teach people to be bold, not timid, in the marketplace. Oh, what was he thinking when he started his business? Look, he says he went to training in January of 2011, didn't know anything about medical billing. In fact, I happen to know that he had just moved here from Croatia, knew nobody in the whole city that he's in. He started marketing to doctors, he says, in February. He got his business all in order and got to marketing and said, I had to make this work because I'd quit my full-time job. Now we don't encourage people to do that, do we, Eric? We want you to keep whatever cash flow you've got coming in because we can teach you how to build this in your spare time, in your off time. But anyway, he introduced his first client in April of 2011. That was within 90 days. And folks, we're being realistic here. Again, we want to tell you the facts, and the facts are that some licensees leave our training and go out the next week and find a client. But there's others that take 30, 60, 90 days. Now, why is it important that you realize that that's reality? Because this is a real business that provides a real need in the marketplace that can make you a residual income of several $1,000s a month for the rest of your life. That's why it's worth working towards that first client, because once you do that, if you do it correctly, like we teach you, you'll get referrals and the business will just grow automatically from there.
Yeah, so here we've got Renee Hermes, no medical background, really fairly new to the States. Some of you can maybe relate to that. Some may relate to this next person, which you're coming from a corporate world. And here we've got Juliana Madsen. I mean, Patrick, she was working at Turner Broadcasting. And she started this business while she was still working at Turner Broadcasting.
Yeah, and she said leaving corporate was the scariest part of what I had to do, but I needed more time with my family. And being my own boss, she says, was the driver behind that. So she got her first client in 2010 using the patient payment plan and choice pay. Now, those are some of our auxiliary services that we teach you to use to get in the door with doctors. Sometimes they're not ready to talk to you about their medical billing. They think they have it in order, right? Everything's fine, they think. So we have other services that get you in the door. So she came to training in late 2009, had her first client there in the first part of the year. Again, folks, these are real people that we're giving you illustrations of, and you can speak to some of these people. Ask your ABS rep. Yeah.
Yep, every one of these. And then I think it's Steve and Beverly Ryder. Here's husband and wife. And now Steve, this is a great story because I always love to hear this. It was Beverly who wanted to get into this business. Steve came to the training, through the training, came to you and said, I think this is the right business for both of us.
Yeah, she said she was scared because she had an IT background. You know, she was in IT, information technology, and whatever company she worked for. And she was scared about having to learn the medical billing codes that we talked about earlier. And Eric, I don't know if we've made this clear to people, but folks, you don't have to have training in medical coding. I know people who've gone and take courses, Eric, in medical coding, but that's if you wanted to work for a doctor, maybe you'd become a medical coder. But folks, in this business, you're a medical biller and the codes are built into the system. Besides, it's the doctor that gives you the codes to put into the system to bill. Anyway, she said she tried everything to get through the gatekeeper, but I found using LinkedIn was my way to get past the gatekeeper to the doctor. We teach you about social media and how to use that, folks, to make connections in your community. And that's what she did. Now she says she uses that and began building relationships with office managers and doctors. And now I set up my appointments all through social media. So even though we don't encourage you just to sit at your desk and be on your computer and never get out and meet people in the community, there are ways to connect if you do it the right way, and we'll teach you that.
And then I think Mark Cuban is not a licensee, but however, he's one of the more bolder entrepreneurs that we all know about.
Yeah, I love
And
this quote.
particularly love this quote. So go ahead.
Oh, yeah. He says it doesn't matter how many times you fail, you only have to be right one time, and then everybody can call you an overnight success and tell you how lucky you are. So, folks, that's all it takes in this business, really, Eric, if you think about it, is
Yeah.
one client can lead you to we've had licensees tell us that we just did what you told us to do in the training to get that first client. And once we got that client, we treated them right. They referred us to other clients. Folks, doctors know one another. They're always visiting with one another at the country club and at churches and synagogues and in business situations, and they will tell other doctors about your great response to helping their revenue cycle.
Hey, real quickly, I got a quick story here, Patrick. I know we're coming close to the top of the hour, but I just heard from a gentleman. You remember him? He came to training back couple of months ago. His name's Carl. He's from Colorado, and he called me up yesterday, so excited. He called me up. He says, I'm about to get my first client. He says, and I've worked and I've done all the right things and I've done everything. And he says, but this lead actually came from my wife, who met someone, and she was telling them what I do. The next thing I do, I get the call. I'm in the doctor's office. I'm right behind. I get right past the gatekeeper, and I told him yesterday. I said, Carl, isn't that great how it just all works together? You go out there and you work and you work and you work and you do everything, but you have to be right that one time, and all of a sudden, boom, he's an overnight success.
There you go.
It's perfect. So we love to hear those
Yeah, we
stories.
do those all the time. Yeah.
But what makes you a bold entrepreneur is that we help create that, and we create that what we call about our ABS community of support. That's not just the support that you get corporately. That's the support that you get from all of the ABS licensees throughout the United States. Patrick, talk real quickly about how each licensee, they're not actually in competition with one another. We actually support one another.
Yeah, in fact, we'll teach you how to go out and position yourself as being a local affiliate of the nation's largest network of independent medical billing companies in the whole United States. We process thousands of claims every day for hundreds of doctors from coast to coast. And we bring in millions of dollars in revenue for those doctors. Now, folks, what I just said is what you can say because you will become a part of our nationwide network. And so you'll use the corporate we in speaking about yourself, and that positions you correctly. It starts in the training class. Look, I think there's 12 or 13 people illustrated here in this picture. But when you go to training class, you'll actually begin your community, your ABS community, with the people in that class. You'll be bonding with those people throughout the week. You'll be doing exercises with those people, eating dinner with those people and lunch, and then you'll go out and stay in connection with those people, and they are your support community.
Exactly. So just as a quick recap here, for those that may have joined us just a little bit late, these are the three things that will keep any business from progressing or any business to become successful. Trying to go out there and redo something that has already been done once the first time. No difference in your products. And then just the bottom line, you could do everything that business tells you to do. You may even have all of the differentiators that you have out there. It just really gets down to you do you have personal discipline to get out there and go build this business for yourself?